5th through 6th grade, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about evaluating your 5-paragraph essay, also called the funnel method. Now, the example I have for you today is from a student. You are not allowed to copy this essay or use it or pass it off as your own. You must come up with your own original essay, but this is a very good one. This is a 6th grader, and I received permission to use it. So we're going to edit it together. I'm going to let you watch me edit it. But this is what I want you to do with your own paper. I want you to ask the same questions I ask. I want you to make sure that it's organized like this one. So we're going to go through it together. I also recommend that you keep a piece of paper and a pencil beside you. And every time I ask a question, I would like for you to write this question down on your piece of paper so that when you are done with this video, you can take those questions to your essay and answer these questions. Okay, so the first question I'm going to ask is, where is my outline? So if I've done this correctly, my outline will be very clear. So we're going to underline her outline in blue and see how she did. So her topic sentence should be the very first sentence. And the subject of her topic sentence should be the subject of the paper. Every day, thousands of animals across America receive life-saving care from a veterinarian. Now, the subject of her topic sentence is about thousands of animals across America. So this essay is about animals. Let's see if that holds true. Next, we're going to look for her thesis. We're not even going to read the rest of the paragraph. Her thesis, so this should be her TS, or her topic sentence. This should be her thesis. Many good qualities are necessary for being a veterinarian. That sounds like a good thesis. We'll come back and evaluate it later. Okay? So now we're going to look at the first point. This should be where the first point is. A good veterinarian needs to be patient, as some animals will try to bite or inflict other damage on them. A good veterinarian needs to be patient. Well, let's look at the second paragraph. Another characteristic of a good vet is perseverance. Finally, the last characteristic of a good vet is kindness. A vet needs to be kind. Okay, and then we have a restatement of a thesis. So this should be point 1, point 2, point 3, and a restated thesis. Okay, so did she have a clear outline? Yes, she did. Okay, so my next question is, I want to look at the structure of her sentences and her thesis to see if we can make it clearer or stronger. The subject and the verb of the first sentence, her topic sentence of her introduction, is thousands receive. I'm okay with that. The subject really is veterinarians, the subject of the paper, the essay. So if we wanted to make it stronger, we could say every day veterinarians, what do they do? What would be a good verb here? Every day veterinarians give life-saving care, maybe. So veterinarians give life-saving care to thousands of animals across America. Now, do you see how we shift the focus? The subject is now veterinarians instead of animals. Because you could see how if we didn't know the rest of the paper, we might think that the rest of the essay is about the variety of animals that receive care, whether it be wild animals, domestic animals, furry friends, farm friends, pets, etc. So it could be a paper on all the variety, but that's not what the paper is about. The focus is on veterinarians. So let's make that the subject of our topic sentence. Now, let's look at the thesis. Can we strengthen the thesis? So we're still on this second question of, are our topic sentences in our thesis are they strong? Many good qualities are necessary for being a veterinarian. Okay, what's our subject? Qualities. What's our verb? Are. Now, what do we know about this? Do we want qualities to be our subject? It could be the subject for sure. Qualities, characteristics, that is what we're about ready to talk about. But we're also focusing on the veterinarian qualities. And we also have a be verb. So we want to try to get rid of that be verb. Let's see if we can rearrange this. Now, this is not necessarily the only way you can do it. You can do it in other ways. But let's remember our goals. Our goals are to keep the subject of the paper as the subject of the thesis and no be verbs in our thesis. We try to avoid them in the whole paper, but especially not in our thesis, okay? Many good qualities are necessary for being a veterinarian. What if we say a good veterinarian displays many good qualities? Or let's make it even more specific. And I'm going to type this one out because I really want to remember this one. And my student who's watching this is more than welcome to use this. In fact, I recommend it. So let's say a good veterinarian, however you properly pronounce it, displays certain, let's say certain necessary qualities, right? Qualities. How does that sound? So now we have the subject is a good veterinarian. And we have the word necessary in there because I do think they're not just good qualities, they're necessary qualities, but they display them. So we have a verb that is not a be verb. Okay, so that's our new thesis. Let's look at our 3 topic sentences. I'm wondering if we can make these parallel. Now, when you become an advanced writer, you don't necessarily have to have perfectly parallel points. You don't have to do that. Now, some speakers continue to this day to use parallel points because it's a great speaking tactic to help your audience remember what you're saying. But in writing, you can advance out of having a perfectly parallel points, but it is a good place to start, okay? And it helps you structure your sentence well. So add the variety in your paragraph, but keep your points parallel. So let's make them parallel. Let's look at, so I'm going to say here, we're still on question 2 where we're examining our most important sentences, okay? So if you're on your paper, that's what we're doing. All right, a good veterinarian needs to be patient, as some animals will try to bite or inflict other damage. Now this part right here, as some animals, we're going to save that for the paragraph. We're just going to say a good veterinarian requires patience or needs patience. And instead of saying needs to be patient, we're just going to say needs patience. So for my friend who wrote this, point 1, a good veterinarian needs patience. Now look how we simplified that. Then maybe the next sentence would be some animals, and then you just keep the rest the same. Some animals will try to bite or inflict other damage on them. Okay, let's go to the next one. Point 2. Another characteristic of a good vet is perseverance. Oh, there's our is. What do we try to do with is? We try not to have unnecessary be verbs. And I think we can do without it here too, especially if we follow the same pattern we just started. So back to our box. Let's see if I can open that back up. What if we say a good veterinarian needs perseverance? And that makes number 3 easy. And you can still say finally. lowercase, a good veterinarian needs kindness. Notice they're all the same: patience, perseverance, and kindness, instead of to be patient, perseverance, and kindness, which is how it was. So this keeps the buckets very equal. And again, it doesn't mean you can't add in words like also. I think we could do that here. A good veterinarian also needs perseverance. Those kinds of words are transition words. Those are important, and they don't affect how parallel your points are. All right, and then let's look at our restated thesis. All this and more shape a good veterinarian and help every vet provide the care that will save the life of an animal. I love the restated thesis. What you don't want to do is just rearrange the words from your original thesis. A lot of students fall into this, and they say something like, instead of many good qualities are necessary for being a veterinarian, they just switch it around and say a veterinarian needs many good qualities. That's really not a good restated thesis. It's just to take the idea and say it in a new way. All this and more shape a good veterinarian and help every vet provide the care that will save the life of an animal. Excellent way to write a restated thesis. However, I will say, well, we'll come back. Okay, so that was very good. So we checked our other important sentences. Now, let's look and see if we can find any of the things that we've been working on this semester. So I'm going to create a list over here. We're going to try to avoid stand-alone be verbs. We're going to try to avoid passive voice. We're going to try to watch out for redundancies. And as we think of more, I will mark them. Okay, so let's start with standalone be verbs. So let's just read the essay now and see if there are any standalone be verbs. Every day, thousands, we're going to use our adjusted sentences. Every day, veterinarians, remember our new sentence right here, give life-saving care for thousands of animals across America. Even more animals receive care that is not life-saving, such as vaccines or wellness examinations. Many good qualities, or our new one, a good veterinarian displays certain necessary qualities. All right, so even more animals receive care that is not life-saving. How about if we do this? We're going to fix redundancy and a be verb all in one. So I'm going to mark this with a red. Even more animals receive we're going to cross this out, and we'll say non-life-saving care, non-life-saving care, such as vaccines or wellness examinations. Look what we just did. We got rid of a be verb, and we actually cut out some words so it's shorter, less wordy. Now, I also feel like there's something to be added here because we jump from care to our thesis. Let's see if we can make that jump. Maybe say something along the lines here of veterinarians, an army of veterinarians take care of these animals. However, there's a great variety. Like maybe there are good vets and bad vets. Like maybe you want to introduce that idea, or maybe you want to say that there's a shortage, that we need some, and you're pointing out the fact that the reason you're even writing, like, what's the point of this topic? It's to maybe inspire someone who wants to become a veterinarian to do it with these qualities, or to point out that there's a different kinds of vets, and the really good ones have these qualities. So you kind of want to link this a little bit. So maybe a sentence or two there. Then we move on to our next paragraph. So we have down there, a good veterinarian needs patience. And then we answer the question, why? Well, the next sentence answers that. because some animals, well, we don't say because, but some animals will try to bite or inflict other damage. Patience is also needed when treating an animal, as it must be taken at the pace of the animal. Okay, we're gonna adjust this as well. Patience is also needed. That is a passive voice verb, right? That's one of the ones we're trying to avoid. So we either want to say patience when treating an animal. Let's see, how can we reword this? Maybe we just rearrange the sentence and say treatment must be taken. There's another passive. Ooh, we've got lots of passive voice in here, don't we? It's also must be taken at the pace of the animal. How about this? The animal controls the pace of the treatment. Some animals are stubborn. Some are scared or fidgety. So the vet must employ patience. Let's see. And then may also be used. There we go. Another passive one. Some animals are stubborn and may take a lot of time. So you're kind of emphasizing the fact that stubbornness, animals that are stubborn or scared or skittish, these kinds of qualities may require more time for the procedure or the administering of medicine. And so the vet must be very patient. The owner may not want to pay for veterinary care or necessities such as food as water. Now, this one is a little bit puzzling because I don't know what that has to do with patience. Unless you're saying that the veterinarian also needs patience in dealing with owners, not just animals, who may also be stubborn or neglectful or part of the problem. And so go ahead and explain that. Because by itself, that sentence does not sound like it has anything to do with patience. Now, I think I know what they're getting at here, but it needs to be connected somehow. Patience is required when dealing with owners. And again, I just use passive voice. Patience is required. So a vet needs patience when dealing with owners. All right, so let's really try to work on getting rid of some passive voice here. That is hard in a topic like this, okay? But again, it will strengthen your paper. Okay, we already fixed the blue sentence. We changed it to a good veterinarian also needs perseverance. Now here we have very clear active voice. Even though we have a small V verb, that's actually, it's a helping verb here, so it's not a standalone. When a vet is performing surgery, but you also could change it and say when a vet performs surgery, he or she must persevere. And tell me what they need to persevere through here. They need to persevere through maybe difficulties, through biting animals, through, I would imagine that it requires perseverance to even try to solve the problem. When you have a patient that cannot talk, you have to use a lot of perseverance, trial and error. So to cut through breaks, hard or cut through. I'm not sure what that means, to cut through breaks. Even though it may be hard or cut through breaks. Is that a break in a bone or is that cutting through break time? I'm not sure. So maybe some clarity here with that statement. And then you have perseverance is also needed. There's another passive. So the vet needs perseverance. Let's just say that. The vet needs perseverance when giving injections or carrying out a procedure that the animal may not like. Yep. And then we already fixed the blue sentence. We said finally a good veterinarian needs kindness. A vet needs to be kind to both clients and patients. Now here we do have a be verb, but again, it's not standalone. It's an infinitive. But you could just say a vet needs kindness towards or needs to show kindness to both clients and patients. They may be stressed or anxious, as they may already be, maybe. So we have a be verb here. Now that one is probably one that will be hard to get rid of. So I think we'll leave that one there. As they may already be stressed or anxious. Veterinarians also use kindness when providing care to an animal whose owner cannot pay for the treatment. Oh yeah, that's definitely kind. So no partiality, right? All this and more shape a good veterinarian and help every vet provide the care that will save the life of an animal. All these qualities are necessary to being a vet, and all of them should be used. Okay, we're gonna take out this last sentence because I think it's a little bit redundant, because you've already said that these are qualities they should have. I think maybe this would be a great place to maybe tie it all together. Why is it important to have a good veterinarian care? Well, because if you have good veterinarian care, you're going to have healthier animals, better quality of life, and you earn trust with your clients, right? Your clients, the animals, these are the kinds of qualities that benefit the animal, they benefit the owner, and in the end, it actually benefits the veterinarian, because through the trust that they've earned, I don't know the term because I'm not familiar with all these things, but their hospital, their clientele, it will grow. So it will benefit them because their business will grow. So I think maybe that's what direction you want to go in that conclusion, is you want to show, well, what is the whole point in all this? Or how does this benefit everybody? So take it a step further, tie it up with a nice, neat bow, and give that whole wrap up all of the points you've been making and tell us what's the point of the whole thing. So there we evaluated the flow and the content. What I liked about this essay is that every paragraph only had to do with that topic. It would have been very easy for her to overlap and talk about how when you have a stubborn animal, it's also, it's hard to be patient. It's also hard to be kind with them. She could have mixed those up, but she kept them very distinct. I think what I'd love to see her do is give an example that's very graphic, like talk about, the patients in an example, if they get bit, it's going to require patience to wrap up that injury and then go back to the same animal and finish the procedure, or postpone their own treatment in order to, or talk about maybe birthing an animal and the kind of patience, maybe talk about how sometimes it's around the clock. That requires patience. Being on call when maybe it's not convenient, or maybe early hours, late nights. Maybe talk about patience in relation to harsh conditions, like maybe having to go travel to administer something. Like you can't always have a horse come to your office. You might have to go do some home visits or farm visits, or talk about how, it takes patience to administer care to, a whole diversity of animals that might be pretty harsh back. Some animals that, especially when they're in pain, they tend to lash out. So maybe talk about that. Maybe talk about some different aspects, like the time commitment, the inconvenience, the discomfort. So get a little more specific there. And maybe fill out, the same thing with perseverance, like persevering through, the challenge of actually figuring out what the problem is, and having to maybe go do research and read up on things and talk to other veterinarians. Maybe the difficulty of having a case not go well, losing an animal, that kind of perseverance to get back on the job, even when it might be sad sometimes, when there's loss. And then the kindness one, talking about the importance of earning trust with an animal and with an owner, and the importance of the rapport you have with them, in your, maybe kindness in the words and in approaching an animal, kindness in approaching the owner, maybe the importance of listening. Maybe listening is part of kindness, like hearing what's going on. How has this worked? How has it not worked? Trying to understand the personality of the animal or the circumstances that the owner and the animal find themselves in. So I think that could go into kindness too. So just fleshing these out a little bit more, thinking about them from a little bit of really have to think about this from the perspective of someone who has no idea what you're talking about, but maybe is interested, has never seen a real veterinarian. All right, so that would be the third thing to look for. So we looked at our very first sentence in our introduction, and we looked at our other strong sentences, and now this one we're looking at our supporting details and making sure there's no overlap, and making sure there is enough information and detail to make it interesting and specific and colorful. And then the last thing you do is you do look for typos. So this is our last thing to check for. You look for typos. Those are errors, misspellings, punctuation. And really overall, this was very, very clean. I want to point out that each paragraph was indented very well. She had punctuation and capitalization that was very accurate. And I didn't see any misspellings, but those are all things that you're looking for when you're editing your paper. So 4 big areas. Really great job, great paper. I hope you can use this as an example. And to my student who's writing her revision, I look forward to seeing your revision. I think it'll be a good one. And I will see you all next week.